This week's Torah reading, Parashat Vayakhel, opens with a call to unity. Vayakhel Moshe kol adat b'nei Yisrael. And Moses assembles all of the children, all of the community of Israel together. He gathers the people together. It's an act of unity that follows one of the greatest fractures in Israelite and Jewish history, the sin of the Egel HaZahav, of the golden calf. The people who had been so united in the receiving of Torah at Sinai became divided, confused, and impatient when Moses took so long on the mountain. Their fear led them to build an idol, shattering their moral and spiritual cohesion. Vayakhel, as many of our commentaries suggest, is a tikkun. It's a repair of that moment of disunity. If the golden calf represented a breakdown in faith and trust, then the building of the Mishkan, of the tabernacle, represents a reweaving of the people into one sacred community. But what about our own moment in history? This week's events in Israel and in the Jewish world serve as a stark reminder of the dangers of division and the urgent need for unity. The Israeli government's decision to fire the head of the Shin Bet, Ronen Bar, accompanied by false accusations against him, signals an alarming attempt to shift blame rather than take responsibility for national security failures. At the same time, moves are underway to remove Attorney General Gali Baharav Miara, further weakening democratic checks and balances. These actions are not just political maneuvers. They undermine public trust at a moment in which Israel desperately needs unity and clear-eyed leadership. How can we effectively fight our enemies, like Hamas, who want to physically destroy us, and the anti-Semites who want to deny us when we're fighting each other? Meanwhile, beyond Israel's borders, we're witnessing an unsettling trend as to who is in the Jewish tent and who is out. The question of who is in the tent regarding support for Israel has become one of the most painful and pressing issues in the diaspora today. Once, being pro-Israel was a unifying identity. Today, it is a source of tension. Some insist that support must be unconditional, while others argue that criticism of Israeli policies is part of loving Israel. And still others, especially on the college campuses and in some progressive Jewish spaces, feel pressure to distance themselves from Zionism altogether. This was underscored by a Jewish Insider article this week in which a rabbinical student reportedly declined to attend a Zionist conference out of fear of blowback from classmates. What does it mean that Zionists now feel the need for a safe place within the Jewish community itself, and that those who criticize Israel feel the same? The Talmud teaches that the Second Temple fell not because of military defeat, but because of sinat chinam, of baseless hatred among our own people. Are we now allowing internal divisions to threaten our strength and our unity once again? Should our synagogues and institutions welcome those who support boycotts of Israel? Can we remain united while passionately disagreeing on policies? If we set no boundaries, do we risk abandoning our core values? We are at a crossroads. Will we let these debates divide us, or will we recommit to the idea that Am Yisrael is one people, even when we struggle to define and to understand what that means? These issues have pitted Israeli against Israeli, Jew against Jew, creating an atmosphere of distrust and polarization. How can we find our way back to Vayakhel, to a place of unity and shared purpose in this environment. In our Parsha, Torah provides us with a potential antidote. The unity of Vayakhel stands in contrast to the division of the Egel HaZahav, of the golden calf. When the people came together to build the Mishkan, they brought their gifts, each according to their ability. Kol nadiv libo, everyone whose heart moved him, says the Torah. Here, generosity replaces fear. A shared goal replaces individual anxiety. The people, rather than seeking personal power or certainty, turned outwards, contributing something larger than themselves. Iturei Torah is a collection of Hasidic commentaries on the Parsha. I've been sharing snippets of it during the weekday minyan services between Mincha and Mariv. And in this week's commentary on Parashat Vayakhel, Iturei Torah notes that the Mishkan itself could not have been established without first establishing community. That's why the Parsha begins with the words, Vayakhel Moshe et kol adat b'nei Yisrael. Vayakhel Moshe et kol adat Yisrael. Moses had to bring the people together, v'na'asu kol Yisrael ke'echad, in order to make the people as one. True leadership does not let division fester. It brings people together, giving them purpose and direction. Today, we need such leadership. Leaders who do not exploit our differences, but who guide us toward a shared value system and collective responsibility. Immediately after Moshe gathers the people, he reiterates the commandment of Shabbat. Mali, this is something that you noted in your Devar Torah. Sheshet yamim taseh melacha uvayom hashvi'i yeh lechem kodesh Shabbat Shabbatom ladonai. For 6 days you will toil, you will do your work, but on the seventh day you will have a Sabbath, a Shabbat of complete rest, holy to God. Why mention Shabbat here? What's the purpose of mentioning Shabbat immediately after the gathering together, the unification, the reunification of the people? Rabbi David Wolpe, who will be in Toronto in a week or two, I think, right, for the Life and Legacy program of UJA Federation, he wrote an article in 2022 entitled Creating Unity. In that article, he wrote that war is not Moses' method of unity. Rather, he calls upon all of Israel and starts to tell them of Shabbat. Shabbat is the holiday where the material gives way to the spiritual. Everyone, Wolpe continues, from the most renowned to the least of Israel, is royalty on this day, prays the same prayers, and has a moment of soul peace. The answer is profound. Shabbat comes immediately after Vayakhel because Shabbat is the great equalizer. On this day, all are equal before God. Work stops, arguments pause, and we are reminded that our ultimate allegiance is not to any human institution, but to the divine. For those of us troubled by the divisions within the Jewish community, history therefore offers us some reassurance. This isn't the first time we faced internal strife. Our people have struggled with disagreement since the time of Korach, and yet, through it all, we have held on to the things that unite us. We have Shabbat, we have the Mishkan, and we have today the State of Israel. These are not just symbols, they are anchors that remind us that Am Yisrael Lev Echad, that Am Echad Lev Echad, that we are one people with one heart. Shabbat in particular is a time to set aside our arguments and come together. It is a reminder that despite our differences, we share something deeper, a covenant, a history, a future. May this Shabbat help us to embrace one another, not despite our differences, but with them, as part of the fabric of Am Yisrael. In our time, we must find ways constantly to restore that spirit. We must listen deeply, argue constructively, and remember that despite our differences, we are one people with one destiny. May we move from division to gathering, from strife to Shabbat, and from discord to a renewed sense of collective purpose. Ken Yehi Ratzon. Amen. Shabbat Shalom.